You're aiming for a top score on the Duolingo English Test, but the write about the photo section is leaving you lost for words. Don't risk your perfect score. We've got the tools and strategies you need to score 140 or higher. So let's get started. Hello, I'm Francis from Last Minute English, and today we are focusing on the write about the photo question from the Duolingo English Test. We'll break down the format with 6 powerful tips. We'll show you the 4 crucial skills that DET is looking for with this question, and at the end we'll do a practice question and give a perfect sample answer. And by the end of this video, you'll be ready to describe any photo in a very high level way. So first of all, what is the write about the photo section? So it's one of the many different question types on the DET, and in it, they'll give you a photo and they'll say, write a description of this image for 1 minute. And your 1 minute timer will start straight away when the image is displayed. So there's no time to sit and think, what a lovely photo. Oh, it's so attractive. You have to go. And you'll be completing 3 of these write about the photo questions in your whole DET exam. And these questions will contribute to your writing, literacy and production subscores. So the instructions of the question are simple, but the difficulty is actually doing it, writing a detailed description of a photo in only 60 seconds. But the good news is, if you have the right approach, it's very possible to score very high on this question. So the first thing to do in this question type is focus on providing an accurate and concise description. It must be accurate, it has to describe what is really in the photo, and it must be concise, that means quite short, because you only have 60 seconds. Now you could answer in only 1 sentence. Definitely it needs to be at least 1 complete sentence. If you just put bullet points or a list, that's not good enough. But better answers will have multiple sentences and be a little bit longer than just 1 sentence. The good news is that the photo will always be visible. You'll be able to write and look, write and look. You don't have to remember the photo. So that's a better way to write a little bit more. You just keep looking, adding more details, adding more details. And it's really important to focus on your grammar and on your spelling. If you're not sure about a word, about how to spell it, try to replace it with a different word. And at the end, if you can, have a very quick look and see if you can notice any mistakes. Try to proofread, although it is a little hard in only 60 seconds. And my last tip is practice, practice, practice. The more practice you do, the better you will be in the real exam. The good news is this is exactly the type of question that's very easy to practice, because you could just get a newspaper, you could get a magazine, you could look on the internet, just look at a photo, give yourself 60 seconds, write as much as you can. And the more you practice, the better your answer will be on the day. Now, before we continue, let me tell you about the free PDF that you get with today's video. So it has all of our tips as well as some great vocabulary, some short sentences that you can learn and use for any different photo. And it has a perfect sample answer as well. It's for free. The link is here under the video, so make sure you check that out. Now let's talk about the different types of photos that you might see. So the DET will show you usually photos of people or places or an activity. For example, it could be a crowd of people on a city street, it could be a beautiful landscape, or it could be a group of people doing a task together. And so that can include a lot of different things. How do you prepare for that? The key is to improve your vocabulary for specific situations. So for example, if DET shows you a photo of a market, you could learn words like vendor, stall, produce, all market-specific vocabulary. And the same for things like landscapes. You can describe mountains and forests and all of the other things that you might typically see in a beautiful landscape. Now let's talk about the different things that the DET is looking for if you want to get a high score. So remember, this part of the exam is marked by AI, and they're going to be looking at 4 main areas of your English. The first thing is content. So Is your answer well developed? Does it have detail? Is it talking about this photo or talking about a different photo in your mind? For example, the difference between there is a market and there is a bustling marketplace with lots of vendors, stalls, and people selling produce. Both of them are about the same thing, but one of them has much deeper, better content. And that's also related to vocabulary, which is also known as lexis, but really it's how many high-level words or phrases can you use when you are writing about that photo. And in particular, if they can be specific vocabulary like vendor, stall, and produce, then that's even better. And as we mentioned before, grammar is also very important, so try to avoid any grammar mistakes. And finally, discourse coherence. So that means, are your ideas connected together? So for example, you might say, in the foreground of the photo, we can see something, something, and then in the background, we can see. So we understand by the words that you've used how the photo is arranged. And we're going to see some phrases like that a little bit later. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, if you're finding it useful, make sure to click like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future DET videos. So a great way to be able to write quickly about these photos is to memorize certain phrases that you can use for any photo. We're going to take a look at some of them now. So a simple way to start is to say something like, the photograph shows, or in this image we can see. And the next two we already mentioned before. So we have in the foreground, and that means in the front part of the photo. And then you can say in the foreground we can see something, and in the background, so at the back of the photo. Now another great option we have is to use phrases like it seems like or it looks as if, and we use those when we're not totally sure what's happening, but we can make a guess. For example, if we see some people running, we might say, it looks as if they are taking part in a race. And if we want to talk about the feeling that the photograph gives us, we can say, the photograph conveys a sense of, and then you say the emotion, a sense of calm, a sense of movement, a sense of anger, or any other emotion that you want to say. So that's some great vocabulary. Remember, we have more of that, including full answers in the free PDF. The link is just here under the video. But now let's move to our practice question. So I'm going to show you a photo and I want you to take part. I want you to type your answer. You'll have 1 minute. You'll see the countdown on the screen. And then afterwards, we'll take a look at a sample answer together. And I'd love you to post your answer under the video in the comments here so I can see it. So let's do our practice question. Your time starts now. Okay, so how was that? I bet that was like pretty stressful because the timer really gives you that feeling of, oh my God, I've got to write. So, as I said, I'd love to see your answer, so please post it in the comments. But let's take a look at a sample answer. And I think this would be a very high level sample answer. And the good news is it also has all of those phrases as well. So let's read through. In the foreground of the photo, two children play a board game with colorful pieces. So the foreground, it's the front bit. A girl in a pink sweater and a boy wearing a blue shirt are leaning over the board, both smiling widely. It seems like they're having fun together. So we're not totally sure, but we can make a good guess that they're having fun. The photo conveys a sense of joy and friendship. So very nice, two nice emotions. In the background, a window suggests they're indoors, while the warm lighting adds to the cozy atmosphere. So this is pretty long. You might not be able to do all of this in 60 seconds, but definitely the more you practice, the more you'll be able to bring in those phrases, and you'll feel much more confident, and you'll be faster and faster, so that when you take the real test, you'll be able to do something close to this. So there we go. Now you're hopefully a little bit more confident about the photo questions. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And you can check out that free PDF for all of the vocabulary, the tips, and the full sample answer. It's for free, and the link is just here under the video. I'm Francis from Last Minute English. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.